Welcome back to the Women's Basketball Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Doyle, and it has been a minute. We've missed a few weeks, but we're back, ready for the playoffs, and I couldn't imagine anyone better than Joseph Honor to join us from the Blind Pig podcast. How are you doing, friend?
Yeah, good brother, man. Great to be back on. Loving the women's content. Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. And especially playoff time. Super spicy.
Yeah, mate, it's super exciting. We've obviously got the men's, women's same time together. We've got the NBA going. We've got the WNBA starting. So it's a bit of a crazy time, isn't it?
Mate, basketball 24/7, 365. That's all you need. And you're doing...
It feels that way at the minute.
You're doing the W as well, right?
Yeah, so the W on the air. So obviously I do my content for fan-sided where I put stuff together for that. So you've got to write so many articles for them. I've got to do it on the NBA side. Obviously I want to get the women's stuff out on here. So it's a pretty busy time. But obviously you're quite busy with your content yourself, to be fair.
Do you know what, dude? I've decided I'm going to do 2 weeks. I'm going to cover all the playoffs. May 17th is going to hit. And then I'm going to give myself a break.
Yeah. Well, some winding down time.
It's probably for like 3 or 4 days, and then I'll be back at it. I think we're going to do like a whole summer of content just about like basketball films, where I'm just going to rewatch Coach Carter and like just...
Mate, I know we're here to talk about the women's playoffs, right? But Coach Carter is arguably the greatest film ever made.
It is the best basketball film. It is, hands down.
I watched it, when was it? It must have been 2 months ago or so. It was on Netflix, so I just put it on and I hadn't seen it in years and I forgot how good it was. It is just an incredible movie.
See, people say like Mike, and I give them the look like, what on earth are you talking about? It's never like Mike. It's definitely not White Men Can't Jump. Great movie, but it's not, that is not Beach Coach Carter. Coach Carter's like in a whole other tier.
Coach Carter covers everything though, like it literally touches on everything, and there's nothing better when he walks in that gym for the first time and they're trying to give him shit and they just can't manage it. Boom. And he just gets them doing suicides and signing contracts. Oh, I just don't think there's many better movies out there.
Dude, I remember when I was in college, this is going to be really cringe, I was in college, probably like it was like a playoff quarterfinal or something. And we were down at the halftime and I was trying to get like people hyped up. And I came into the locker room and I started saying to people, "What is your deepest fear? What is your deepest fear?" It was so bad, right? They had no idea
Did
what
you lose that game?
Yeah, probably. It works in the movie. It doesn't work in real life.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Especially you're not even in America then, yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah.
Right, mate, so let's try playoffs. As much as I love to talk about Coach Carter, and I could probably sit here all day and talk about it, we'll move to playoffs. So tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we'll start with the Sheffield Hatters and the Nottingham Wildcats, who you might know quite well, Joseph.
Yeah. Great team. And I think actually, they haven't done awards yet, but I think Joanna Langburn has quietly been the absolute, I don't want to say star, I think she has star-like qualities, but the stability and the consistency that she's had leading the team in points and rebounds, like, absolutely amazing from Joanna Langburn. Really chuffed that the Wildcats are there. Just wish it wasn't against the Hatters. The Hatters is probably the worst outcome. They've been dicked by them several times this season already.
Yeah, I think it's definitely tough. I think they lost 114-43 in the Betty Cardona Trophy. But then each time they have gradually got better. 120-78, which again isn't great when you're putting up 120, like 120 points. 61-100, so it is closer each time. But I think what I like about Nottingham is if we're with teams like that don't have the massive budget, we're talking about them, we're talking about Cardiff. For them, it's kind of like gaining that experience, and I suppose you can't gain much better experience than against the Hatters, can you?
I think if they were playing someone with more of a chance, I just think that's a better experience for the team. You're right, like they're going to be shown the highest standard of this is the best that it's going to be, this is what it could look like. But I think it could be more depressing for the team than finishing it on a high, if that makes sense. I would have loved for them to have been in 7th. I know it wouldn't have made like too much of a difference, but I just think 7th against Caledonia. Is Caledonia, isn't it? Caledonia's in 2nd.
Yeah,
7th against Caledonia. I just think that would have been nicer for them in terms of like matchups. But it is what it is. And I think from a Sheffield side, it's probably the best way they could hope for starting their playoffs. They're going against a team they're confident against. Meg Mullins, once again, is not going to have anyone lock her down. It's a real mismatch problem.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair for Nottingham, they played Caledonia the other week, and obviously they ended up getting beat. But what I liked about it is they just kept drawing up players. They just kept going. They just kept moving the ball. Joanna Langburn was doing great. Kalia Buggs was doing great as well. Them are the kind of players you want to see get experience, and they're going to have to go up against the best players to get that on. If you're going up against, with no disrespect to Cardiff, who again are a university team, and they've not got them best players, yes, it's good winning them games, and that helped them get to 4 wins and get ahead of Leicester. That's great. That's good, but that's not where you're going to learn your trade. And it feels like, and like you say, it's not a fun experience for them. But if you take notice of what you're doing there, if you keep running players and you try and work out what is working against these better players, these mismatches where, like you say, Megan Mullins, who's a veteran, who's been across several different countries, she's played at the highest level, well, nearly the highest level she's played at, but she's playing at such a good calibre in England. It's not a bad place to kind of face up and learn what your trade is.
So I think Coach Karen Burton for Nottingham, I think she has that a little bit more who she wants to play, where kind of the rotation sits. Buggs is a lot more free than I think she was early in the season. I think it's interesting how she's maybe not playing Alice Fallon as much. Obviously, she's like the local Nottingham girl. She's very much the poster for like Nottingham women's basketball. But it feels like Coach Karen knows a little bit more what she wants to do and who she wants to put on the floor.
Yeah, 100%. I'm quite interested in seeing how the other kind of players play as well, like Jocelyn Tate. She's had like a reasonably good year, and she's kind of progressed in each game. So again, it's one of them where I'm expecting Buggs and Langben to really like exert themselves against these teams, but the other teams like the other players like Tate, it'll be interesting to see how they come on and kind of develop their own game, because at the end of the day, these are wanting to get a higher contracts and play at higher teams in the league next year. So it'll definitely be interesting how them players end up picking up. But if we move on to Sheffield, and you've mentioned Megan Mullins, how good has she been this year?
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, honestly, I watch her, and obviously when you watch Sheffield as well, I think because they've got that many weapons, they've obviously got Georgia Gale, they've got herself, Megan Mullins, you've got Antoinette Lewis now, who's came on loads, you've got Nina Crisper, I always get that wrong, Edith Yates, Chanel Charles is now on the scene. Like, it's one of them where if you're playing that team, to be the best on that team, you've got to be at a ridiculous level, haven't you? Like, what's your opinion? Do you think in this playoffs she's probably going to run the show?
Meg Mullins? Yeah.
Yeah,
dude. Everything goes through her. I know Georgia Gale is the long-standing one. You know, she is sort of Sheffield basketball, but everything runs through Mo Mullins. Like, if she's hot at the start of the game, then you know that she's going to be the primary offense. You know, the ball's going to go to her, whether that's down low in the post, whether that's on the wing to make something happen. Even on the fast break, she does such a great job of sealing people when she's out on the fast break and getting like those nice, easy passes over the top. So if the offense is going, it's through her. Even if she's not scoring, though, what I love about her is she'll lock in defensively. Like, I feel like when she knows it's not her night offensively, she steps up even more defensively. And can kind of be that tool on both ends to force turnovers, to really put pressure on people, and to be a strong inside presence as well. And the rebounding is just consistent. It's been consistent all season. She's a talent. Do you know the WNBA comp for her isn't Asia Wilson? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, who does a bit of everything.
Yeah, and someone who like in women's basketball at that size, you maybe don't expect them to be as agile having the shot, but she does, man. She is. She's just as quick.
She's got literally everything, and that's, I mean, the only difference with Aja Wilson maybe is she's got like Jackie Young and the kinds around her, but she just puts the team on her back every year. But I mean, this year Megan Mullins has done a great job of just that combination, because obviously Georgia Gale started the year quite slow with injuries and she was fighting her full fitness, and it just feels like as the year goes on, the trophies they add, they haven't even found the top level yet, which is quite scary to me.
I agree. The interesting thing I thought is I spoke to Georgia Gale after they won the SLB Cup. And obviously she was happy that they kind of had won and she was excited and she kind of got the MVP. But she was unfazed by the fact that they had won. Like, that's the thing that really hit me, is like, this is someone who just expected to win. And I think she's only really going to be happy once they have the quad. Like, it was like, yeah, we won, I feel good. But she was even saying, like, in the interview, she was like, oh, I thought we played a bit, you know, we didn't have much time to train. It wasn't great. We did all right. We did what we were supposed to do. You're like, she is so laser focused on winning the playoffs. So I've got a lot of time.
Well, maybe that was actually going to be my next question to you, because I was going to say, obviously you interviewed Georgia Gale and you interviewed Vanessa Ellis. What was the mentality like? So you've obviously mentioned Georgia Gale there. What was Vanessa Ellis like? How did she take it? Was she another one where she was kind of like, yeah, next one, we know what we want?
Yeah.
Was she the same?
She, this is how locked in she was, right? So obviously they came out, they were celebrated, they were happy, they went to the locker room to do the whole celebration thing. And unfortunately, things weren't very organized where they didn't know where they were supposed to take team photos. So within like 2 minutes, Vanessa Ellis had been from like, yeah, we're celebrating, to like, where are we supposed to be? Where are the photos supposed to be? Come on, team, let's go. And she was straight back into that coach mode. And I was talking to her, and after she said that she'd won, the first thing she said is, I wish we had more time to practice. I wish we had more time to train, because obviously they were just coming off the international break, the international window. So
Yeah.
she was already finding things that she said, if we had more time, we could have been better. And that is her mentality, I think. I think she wants to not just win, but she wants to show that this is like her perfect team, the perfect system that can do it all. And you can tell, like, behind all of that, she really likes these girls. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're really connected as a team. They're really happy for each other. They're really playing for each other. It's rare that you see a team that's humming as well as this one is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously it helps when you get to bring. That's one thing about this league is you don't, and I suppose it's on the men's side as well. Retaining players is actually a rarity. Like, it doesn't happen that often. So when you've got a playoff winning team like Sheffield did, to then bring back your core like Georgia Gale, who was obviously, she was never going anywhere. I think she's only left the country once to go to Spain during COVID. I think I might be right on that. I'm pretty convinced that's the only time she's left the league. It's just, it must be such a nice problem to have, having all these players, because you look at that bench. Antoinette Lewis is just, this year, you take Megan Mullins off, Antoinette Lewis comes on and she's just as good.
Yeah.
Like, her blocking, her points per game, it's ridiculous. And then you match them up together. Like, how do you match that up together when you've got Antoinette Lewis and Megan Mullins on at the same time? That's a ridiculous problem to have if you're a defender, isn't it?
Most teams are hoping for one of those two people, so to have them both on kind of like the same team. How does it work? You'll know this much better than me, because I've never really paid as close attention to like players sort of coming and going. The WNBA is starting now, right? But EuroLeague's finishing. So what happens to a lot of the players who play in SLBW? Do they wait for the summer, or do they look for kind of like a summer contract?
So with the SLBW, it's not as much of a problem. The kind of, their next step will be next year. There's a lot of them, because moving to the WNBA, like you would know by now. So for instance, Holly Winterburn, she picked up a training camp contract because the Atlanta Dream kept her rights for a year with her being injured. So they obviously already know, and this would already be announced, because what you've got is, like, with the WNBA, you've got the college season finishes, you've got the draft 2 weeks later, then you go into training straight away, and their pre-season's 2 weeks. So it's not long at all, which is, for college players, it's a problem because they've been playing for a year. Like, they're very tired. But then you've got players who are coming from overseas who have played for a year and who are just like Carla Bridgerton now is just landing in it. Where she at? Portland. I think it's Portland she's at. She's just landing there today, and they've had their pre-season camp for a week. So obviously, if any SLBW players ever got there, it would be a case of, right, we're going to have to go and, like, before the season finishes, really, because in this day and age where the WNBA players are getting, like, I think the average contract now is 300 grand. You've got Temi Fag-Burnley picking up 1 million for a year contract. I think the max contract's maybe 1.3 million. Like, with respects to our league, you're not risking that, so you're probably leaving early to go take your money. But with SLBW players, I think they'll just wait till next year to see where they're playing at. You know, the kind of Megan Mullins, I'm hoping stays. I don't know. That could be a talking point because obviously she's travelled, but maybe at this stage in her career where maybe she's looking at winding down, and that might not be an insult to her, but obviously she already called herself Coach Mo, so maybe that suggests maybe that's going to be her next step in her journey. I don't know, and she seems like a very likeable character and a very knowledgeable character, so maybe that's her next step. But there would be offers on the table from Europe for a player like her, I would imagine. But yeah, they're not going to get much of an off-season if they wanted to move the W, but I don't think that's going to be a problem in the SLBW, to be honest with you.
The one person for Sheffield, I know we're doing off-season before we've even done playoffs, but I'm in swing, so I'm just going to go for it. But when you look at that Sheffield team, one of the players that I do think will come back is Chantel. Chantel Charles, because I think she's very, obviously she's played for the London Lions previously and she was part of kind of that super successful run they had, but I think she's very settled being back in the UK. She's doing a lot of stuff with Ryan Richards and with the Reba Summer Elite stuff. I could see her wanting to stay for like another year.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and as well, when you look at it, the only team she will probably stay at, like you say, is Sheffield, because budget-wise, unless London decide, because they've got a good coach there in Kyla Nelson, like a very good coach. She's done tremendous to take them from 0 wins to I think 6 this year or 8. I'll double check that because I don't want to I don't want to insult them at all. I think it's 8. I'm pretty convinced it's 8. So if they decide maybe they're going to pump some, I don't know if they will, because I think it's a separate entity now from the men's team. I think they've got different owners. But if they decide they would have pumped money into that, that would maybe be the one team that could tempt Chantel Charles. But that would be about it. But I can't imagine, like, why would you? Because that's a project. Sheffield is in the now, and you look at their team. If Megan Mullins decides to say Georgia Gale's going to stay, they've got Jessica Edds for Yates. They've got Antoinette Lewis. So if they all decide to stay, what changes next year, realistically? Nothing.
Yeah. I run it back, try and build a dynasty.
Yeah. So let's move on to, because we've glazed on the Sheffield Hatters a lot. Let's try and talk about London Lions a little bit. They'll be facing the Essex Rebels. Essex Rebels finished in 3rd, so that's their matchup. For you, is that another game where the Essex Rebels take over and they most likely win the game? Obviously, they've got now. I always forget that they've actually got Quenisha Lockett, who is a fantastic player, who is probably arguably their best player. Do you think London Lions drop out of this one, or do you think Essex... do you think Essex win this one, or do you think London Lions drop out?
Yeah, so I think the Lions they're kind of weird because they were having a down season until they had kind of their mid-season stroke late season signings, which I think really kind of shored up the middle. I'm going to get her name wrong, which is terrible, but Izzy's sister, who came in last name. You did a fantastic interview with her sister, and she's just moved from USC to...
Aussie Mamadou.
Yeah, there we go. So she obviously came in, and the Lions, I think, have improved. I think, though, this is Essex's game to lose. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think the Lions have a way to win this. I just think Essex have a way to lose.
Yeah, no, and you know what it is as well with London, like you see, Annika Shawna's just been, for a small guard, by the way, you would not imagine she was small. The way she grabs rebounds, she's actually averaging, because I checked before we came on, 4.6 rebounds per game, and for a player to average that, it doesn't sound impressive. When you see the size and stature of Annika Shaw, I think it kind of epitomizes what she's about. She's a ruthless guard. She's not scared of anything or anybody. I mean, they've got Jamila Thompson on the team who's averaging 7.9 rebounds per game, so she grabs the majority. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's such an impressive player.
Yeah, she's really good. She's really good. And I think she's also what women's basketball is great for. Do you know what I mean? Like a really skilled person on the court, someone who can do everything. And sometimes, like, the athleticism of kind of like other games, it means that, you know, you focus on how much can they jump, how fast are they. But she's just a quality, skilled player with a real heart and sort of strong mentality to go after the ball, and great shot.
Yeah. I mean, you see how many she throws up a game. It's impressive because her movement off the ball just to get them opportunities is tremendous. Not all of them go in naturally. If you're going to throw up a lot of shots, you're not going to score all of them.
She's shooting like nearly 40% though from 3. It's like
she's
sky high.
It's good. Yeah, it's not bad. But again, that's just a testament to her because she's not scared of anything. If a shot does miss, she's going to put it back up. But like you see, when you're shooting 40% from 3 and you're putting up as many as she is, it's impressive.
Yeah. But I'll go back to what's she scoring? She's scoring 19 points a game, 20 points a game, something like that. Yeah. So even if she had an incredible like hero game, you know, is that enough to compensate for maybe like the other areas of weaknesses they might have of how complete Essex is? I don't know.
Yeah, Essex have a lot of scorers. Obviously, London have Jada Lewis as well, who was just, again, a tremendous player. But maybe when London drop to the bench, that's where they're going to find problems because Essex are going to put points on the board consistently. And I can't imagine the kinds of Nat Chow and Paige Meyer and Quenisha Lockett taking that many minutes on the bench in the postseason, especially in a matchup where, because the Lions are dangerous and they are a much better team. They're coached very well.
Yeah.
So if they stay on the court for the majority of the game, I find it tough to look past Essex in this one.
Do you think home court advantage is going to play much of a factor? I do love the Essex court, and it feels like they get a really good crowd out.
That's the thing about Essex, they do get a good crowd, so I think it will. I don't know if it'll play that much of a factor, but it must certainly help in some capacity. But then you've got the kinds of, that's where Annika Shaw, maybe she'll thrive because it seems like stuff like that would spur her on. I don't know what the other players will be like, but if there's a good crowd, they're making a good noise. Maybe that's where she takes it on the chin and she's like, I want to silence them early. Yes. So that would definitely, I've never really thought about that, but maybe that's something that she takes into consideration. It's like, I'm going to shut yous up early.
Yeah.
Because if you damage that crowd and you keep it silent, it can work both ways, can't it? It's like in the Eagles sometimes. It was the other week at the big one where I was telling you before the podcast, Newcastle took on Manchester in over 4 quarters. I don't think Manchester do it, but Newcastle dominated for the first two. And in the third quarter, Manchester just started eking back to the point where they nearly actually stole it. I think they were ahead in the fourth quarter somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd doesn't turn, but it goes very, very quiet.
Yeah.
And it starts to get on top of the players a little
Squeaky
bit, I
bum
think.
time.
Yeah, 100%. It does make a difference. So it can work both ways. It's great having the crowd there, but if they're not turning on you, but when you feel they're nervous, it can certainly go on to the players.
And I think it's really interesting, like, especially because, like, in the men's game, obviously, the 2-leg aggregate that happens in SLB, I always think it's advantage to whoever has home court in that second leg. Part of the reason why I think it's so crazy that Manchester are choosing to go first against Bristol. But like, with this being just a single game elimination in the playoffs, I do think the home court has to have more of a direct impact on, like you say, if you can get out early, you can build momentum, the crowd's behind you. You know, there's no chance to go back to your house on the second leg to try and beat them on aggregate the next time.
Yeah, 100%. That's kind of the good thing about the women's side. I suppose it's a one-leg shootout where home court advantage is going to matter because you don't have that. Because I'm with you in the men's side. And you know what we've spoke about before. I hate aggregate. I hate it. It just really annoys us. But that second leg, if you can get it home and you start to close that deficit and the crowd realizes that deficit's closing, it definitely plays a part.
Do you know one place, though, that home court...
Yeah. Oh, mate, do you know what it is? And this really frustrates us. I love Oakland as a team. Obviously, I interviewed Danny McCrane. She's just a lovely person, a great basketballer. And then you've got Shanice Beckford-Norton. They obviously played for Team GB most of the time, and she had a fantastic international window before the SLB Cup final. Such a talented team. Obviously, because they played out of a gymnasium, it's not their fault. But there's no commentary when you watch the games.
Yeah.
And that's the one I want to watch, Oakland's Newcastle, because you said yourself before the podcast, that's probably the game to watch.
It's going to be the most competitive one. And I actually think that Oakland's have a lot on the line in terms of like trying to make sure this season is seen as successful and not too much of a regression from last year. And I know that the player makeup is different, but if you think about where they were last year heading into the postseason and already how successful they've been, and then contrast that to this year where they've not been to any of the major finals, you know, I feel like there is some pressure on Oakland's to definitely advance out of the first round of the playoffs. Definitely, like, I think Beckford Norton, I'm really interested about her headspace because all I see of her is her preparing for 3x3 and, like, you know, for the Commonwealth Games. Is she locked in?
I think so. Do you know what it is? I just watch her and I think her and Danny McCrane together, they are so dangerous. Honestly, it's just her pace. And I think that must be why she's obviously good in 3x3 is because she's so quick. And playing off that bigger player, it helps you buzz around. I think she's 100% locked in. And you've got to think about it as well on the women's side. Like we say, it's a straight shootout. So 2 wins and you're at the final. So that helps. So you can kind of dedicate your time to other places. Like there's such big breaks in the season as well. Sometimes you're going 2 weeks without a game. So I think in the women's side, I imagine a headspace is fine because the fundamentals are fundamentals. Yeah. Like in 3x3, you're probably still working on similar stuff. Not that I'm any kind of expert at 3x3. I watch it and I've got no idea what's going on half the time. So I'm like, well, that was a great shot. But I think she's locked in. And for me, you hope she is because I think Auckland's are the team that's going to sneak up there. I think there's 2 teams that I thought were going to be, and I'll ask you your dark horse. For me, Auckland's and Newcastle was the dark horses. Yeah. So when when Essex pipped Auckland's to 3rd place and them 2 got matched together, Auckland's and Newcastle, that was where I'm really interested to see which team takes it because Auckland's, you've got such a collective team. And like you said last year, it's a similar, like the players are different. You've lost Sam Ashby. The tactics are similar where the ball's getting shared. There's not one star player that all contributing. Whereas on Newcastle, it's slightly different and their roster's been decimated a bit with injury. Maria Mongomo, congratulations to her. She's pregnant, so she's not going to be taking part. Alyssa Marin, it was in the Manchester game, actually. She got a nasty injury. I still don't know exactly what that was, but she was in some pain going off the court. But then you've got Andrea Daly still playing.
League leader in points.
Just... you know, honestly, I think she's the league leader. And I think when I wrote my article before, it was 7 different stats. I mean, 2 of them are total rebounds and defensive rebounds. But have you got to see her much this season, or is Newcastle a team you've not managed to see?
Do you know what? I've seen a couple of games, but mostly when they've been playing against Sheffield, truthfully, or against Nottingham.
Yeah.
But But you are right. It's like 23 points, isn't it? She's averaging a double-double, right? I remember that was like the big thing. She's
Yeah. We had 23.2 points, 11.9 rebounds per game.
it's
It's
crazy.
just. But to be fair to her, I think she's more of a forward in this team. She's playing forward or centre. She picks up the ball and she just runs coast to coast. Because I think she's naturally a guard. I think she's 6 foot from what they said at the start of the season. She looks bigger than that, mind. She looks taller than 6 foot when you see her on the court. Her stature is tremendous. She's such a magnificent player. She picks up the ball, and her mentality is straight away, I'm going to drive at that basket. I'm either going to get fouled or I'm going to get a bucket. It's insanity to see. And I've got to tell you one player to watch out for if you get to see Newcastle Oaklands. Shanique Lucas, I've been so impressed with her development this season. It's kind of one of them where, and you see it with players on both sides, on the men's and women's, there's players on the roster that aren't there to always get a chance, but are going to get drip fed in because the younger players. But then sometimes it's them injuries that force them in, and her role in the rotations picking up, and she's getting more of the ball, and she's dictating play more when Andrea Daly's not. And I've got to say, I've been so impressed with her development this season.
Sounds like you're calling for the upset there, man. Sounds like you're calling
Ah,
for.
Here's my problem, right? As I'm trying to get into the business of journalism, I'm trying to stay impartial. But then, because I've watched Newcastle so much in my life, I'm like, there's a chance of an upset here. I think it will happen.
I think impartiality is overrated, bro. Lean into the
Who
fandom.
needs it? Who needs it these days? It's boring. Boring takes. Oh well, it's gonna be a nice game. Nah, let's not be Russell fan.
Ultimately,
It is.
I think
Go on.
Oakland does take it. I think overall, I would back an Oakland's team. I think, like you say, Beckford Norton, fantastic. Danny McRae, fantastic. I think they've got experience as well that will kind of lead them back. I think this is unfortunately, I think it's another one where 4 will beat 5, where 1 is already beating 8 and 3 is already beating 6. I think it's another one where the highest seed wins.
Yeah, I think that's my prediction as well. But I think when it gets to the semis, I do think a team like Oakland's, I think they're a good pip, because I think I've got it worked out and I'm terrible working out tournament trees. I think if Caledonia win and Oakland's win, I'm pretty sure it's them two matching up if I've worked it out right. By the way, if everyone listening, this is how my life works, right? So I had one break last week, Joe, where I could have caught up on sleep. Last Friday, I decided to watch Sunderland get battered 5-0 off Forest till 10:30. I then had an hour nap after getting up at 3 in the morning for work. Had an hour nap to then watch the NBA, which went on till 3 in the morning. And then my daughter woke up at 5, so that was my one chance to catch up and sleep last week. And then
So you're
I've
saying,
decided not to.
poor you had to watch basketball. Is that?
I had to watch basketball, but I am so sleep deprived that I could be wrong when I'm working out this tournament tree. So if anyone picks that up, feel free to correct us. I'll not be insulted at all.
I think it's all reseeded. Yeah, I'm pretty sure after the first round, in the second round, the highest seed plays the lowest seed. There's no no trees.
Right. Oh, so it's not a tree, right? So there we go. And see, that's how I worked it out.
Well, dude, it's interesting. So, like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, because on one hand, I just love a bracket. A bracket is so simple.
I love a bracket.
It also rewards a team if they beat someone of a higher seed. It rewards them for that, because then they're just playing the next opponents. Whereas the reason happens in the semi-finals for the men's and the women's, it screws them over even more. So let's say, for example, that Nottingham pulls off a wild upset and they beat Sheffield. Well, the second seed is waiting for them in the next round.
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, do you know what it is though? But maybe it's because on the women's side, the upsets never really happen. Maybe that's why I've never noticed. But I've never known that before, which is crazy. I hate that. I really hate it. And the men's side, yeah.
Same with the men's. To be honest, I'm hoping it works for the men's in a weird way, because I'm hoping that Bristol beat Manchester, and in part that is because then Bristol face London, and Sheffield will just face the winner of Surrey Cheshire. But you never know. So
what you're saying is Sheffield will be playing Cheshire. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry.
It's about as likely that Surrey advances to the next round as it is the Nottingham Wildcats, unfortunately.
Well, we'll finish because my internet, for everyone who knows me and Joe, have had a torrid time lately trying to record. And I'll try and edit it, but the internet dropped out again during this, so we're gonna finish on this question. I guess for you, Joe, if you ignore Sheffield, because everyone's predicting them, out of every other team, which team do you think would pip them to the post and maybe lift the championship as a dark horse?
Yeah, it has to be Caledonia. I think Caledonia, for me, And again, we said this before we were chatting before the podcast. I don't think I've seen them really put it together for 4 quarters in a particularly really inspiring way. I think they have the ability to do that. And I think the Tierra Hodges factor is just the ultimate X factor, I think, against Sheffield. Now, Sheffield have defended her really, really well over all of their matchups, and you'd say almost like Sheffield have their number. But in terms of a team that I think could put it together in a one-game final, it has to be Caledonia. I would like to see them back in the finals together. I think anyone else is a lesser opponent, and it would make it too easy for Sheffield.
Yeah, do you think that's like a mentality block for Caledonia as well? Because obviously it took Sheffield out in the championship once this year, I think. I think that was one of Sheffield's 3 defeats, if I'm correct. I think it was Essex, them, and Auckland's last game of the season. And obviously, like you just said there, and you kind of described it perfectly, Tierra Hodges, when she's played against Sheffield, especially in that in the Betty Cadorna final, was cancelled out because of Megan Mullins. And we mentioned that on your podcast for anyone who didn't hear it. We did say that would be the key matchup. Do you think that's a mentality block for Hodges now? Like, how do you get past that when you've been dominated on not two occasions now in the final as well?
They definitely owned them. Like, I think there was a stretch going like between like February and March where they beat them like 3 times in a row, didn't they? Or maybe there was like a couple of games in between. So it's definitely like there's definitely got to be a mental edge of, you know, this team just has my number. And I think the biggest thing that you can kind of do to break out of that, as weird as it sounds, is you go back to your routines, you go back to your fundamentals, you go back to what's made you successful in kind of your other matchups. I think if she tries to think too much about, okay, this is how they're stopping me, and tries to go outside of her box, then I think she's going to try and do too much. She's going to get more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if she stays doing consistently what's made her probably one of the most successful women over the last couple of seasons, like, you know, that is what the team needs. They don't need like a hero moment from Tierra Hodges. They need like dependable Tierra Hodges for like 3 quarters, and then she can have the hero moments in the 4th when she's got a motor going, when she's feeling comfortable scoring.
Yeah, man, it's tough as well because obviously if you're Hodges' coach, it's one of them where even when she was at Newcastle, that was a problem, like against the better physical teams, not always the more physical, but like the more skilled physical teams, she would be more quiet because naturally they know how to defend players in the post like her.
Mm-hmm.
I guess even as a coach, when you come up against Sheffield, how do you draw mismatches to a team that has no mismatches? Like in the post, like we've said before, Antoinette Lewis and Megan Mullins on this court at the same time, you're going to try and switch her and get a mismatch. But where does that come? Because it's just got to get worse for you when you switch to the next player.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I have a good answer for that, truthfully. Like,
I don't think anyone does.
What they did well, I would say, in the trophy final at the start of the game, trying to stop Meg Mullins scoring. And that allowed them to kind of get down the floor, and Hannah Robb was playing quite well at the start of that game. And it kind of opened things up a little bit. But yeah, Sheffield just turned it on. And I'm not sure I like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure I like how certain it almost feels. That...
Yeah, I'm with you, but at the same, like, I hate seeing one team win every trophy, and I'm always, no matter what sport it is, whether I know the sport well or I don't, if you get told there's an underdog there, I kind of always root for the underdog. And I suppose if we're put in a hypothetical situation where the Hatters play Caledonia, I would probably go, I want Caledonia to win. And that means you need, like you say, Hodges to play well, Anastasia Warren to play well, Hannah Robb needs to do her bit. You know, you need all them players to come together and have the perfect game. Whereas it feels with Sheffield, they don't need a perfect game. They just need to be at a good enough level to win, which is kind of, it's scary in one term, but that's kind of the reality of it, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Can I just ask as well, just interested on your thoughts on Steve Timoney's comments about the Caledonia Gladiators women's, that he always thinks of the women first. They're always like his favourite part of the...
All right, I didn't...
Have you not seen that?
I did see that. I seen a clip of it. I didn't watch all of it, I must admit, 'cause I think I fell asleep because it was very late night. I did see he done an interview and I didn't watch it all. I'll have to watch that back. So he was saying he would pick the women's over the... Well, by the way, who wouldn't pick their women's over the men's? Because their men's is just...
Do you know
what is there to get excited about?
It's an interesting interview. It's about him kind of like more broadly in business, but part of that he talks about sort of owning the Caledonia Gladiators, and kind of the big quote that I took from it is that when he thinks about the team, he always thinks about how he wants to invest in and build up the women's program first before he thinks about the men's, which is super interesting. And honestly, I had a lot of respect for him when he kind of said it, and the sort of how sincere it felt in terms of like actually that's what he's trying to build.
Well,
And it
credit
made
to
me feel
him though,
really.
because I think that, sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say it made me feel really good about like whether Caledonia kind of win or lose. I think they're still going to invest into this team. They're still trending in a really positive direction, and they're still getting equal opportunity, which is something quite unique.
Yeah, honestly as well though, but like I think I would probably believe him as well when he says that, because if you watch the Caledonia Gladiators, like I was saying, I'm honestly not trying to disrespect the men's team, but they've had their problems over the last 2 years, right? And the women's for them, I feel like the fans, and if you watch the Caledonia Gladiator games, the kind of seems like fans gravitate towards them. In their media program, as Grant and Rona on the comms are probably on the women's side, arguably the best in the league. Obviously, you've got good old Kazzy B from Twitter who does the Manchester stuff, and she's an incredible commentator. Like, she obviously does the men's and women's side, and she's just fantastic. We've been trying to get her on the podcast for a while, but it hasn't quite worked out because just like she has to be the busiest woman in basketball. And when I finally got her to come on, Olivia was bloody. I'm going to blame the child. She was sick, so we couldn't do it. But honestly, on the women's side, you've got Manchester and Caledonia that do it so well. So I kind of believe him when he says that they're here for like the women's team. It kind of feels legitimate when you see them bringing in players like Tiara Hodges as well. Like, you do believe it, and I think fans respond to it. This is what I'm trying to get at: is if you put time and effort into the women's game, is it instantly going to bring you money in the door? Not instantly, but when people see you putting that effort in and the quality's there to show, and you advertise it well, like him doing that interview in itself is good advertisement, because people that might not watch the women's game and are listening to his business side of talk will go, actually, do you know what it is? If he's doing that, a businessman like himself who's clearly had success, yeah, I'll give it a go. So it's just people putting effort in. I just think it helps. And you know what it is? I'm really glad he came out and actually said that, because it would be so easy just to totally ignore it and not put it out there.
100%, man. Yeah, I totally agree. And the fact that he backed the Lady Rocks first before he even bought the team, I think it just shows like he's committed to it. It is good. And hopefully they reward him. Hopefully Caledonia beat Manchester, and then we have our classic 1-4, 2-3 matchup. I think that's probably the best outcome.
Yeah, I think you wanted to be competitive, don't you? So I think that unfortunately is that. And I feel sorry for Cardiff down the bottom that they didn't get their one win of the season. Like, it was a team I was rooting for, because they're another team that no matter the score, they kept playing, and you could see those improvements, but because they're such a young team, it was one of them where it's hard for a young team to come into a league that's got such good professionals in it. It's really tough, and I think that's probably one problem with the league, is the disparity in quality from the top to the bottom. And it's just down to, it's much like the men's game, it's just down to budgets. If you've got a bigger budget, you're a bigger team. And obviously some of these teams in the women's league they're not professional, so they don't get to put all their time and effort into just basketball. But I mean, I like what Cardiff do. I know they put a lot of effort in to develop them players, but it's just a shame that they couldn't get a couple of wins on the board.
I'm very interested to see what Cardiff do next season. So obviously Cardiff are behind the scenes putting in places to become a BCB team. But the big question is, what happens with the women's team? And like you say, right now they're run as like a university program. But with a BCB team there, you've got to wonder, is there an opportunity to like join up a little bit more and to kind of share resources or share admin or whatever that looks like to try and help them out potentially? The league definitely doesn't need another team disappearing.
No, definitely. You know what it is as well? Durham, because obviously I'm from around there, and that was my university when I went to uni. I was gutted to see them drop out of the league. Do you know what it is as well, though? Durham were a team that were like in the middle. They were just kind of like off the middle a little bit, so they've dropped down slightly, but they were such a good team to watch as well. Like, on their day, it was just good fun to watch them. So I just think that's the last thing you need, and you don't need teams dropping out just because who are you going to bring in after that? Like, who's the next team that replaces them? And it just becomes a bit of a problem.
But the playoffs are great.
Yes.
Leather shoes, don't you snooze, Sheffield in 1.
And you are absolutely right. Well, I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you very much for joining us.
Honestly, dude, it's a blast. Love chatting to you. Looking forward to what you see. Looking forward to what you're going to do for the semis as well. Honestly, I think it needs it. It needs the coverage.
Do you want to plug your podcast while we're here, my good friend?
Oh, dude, I would love to. And like I say, we don't know what's going to happen over the summer, so come and join it while it's still happening. But yeah, we're at the Blind Pig Pod across all socials, IG, YouTube. We are on Twitter. We don't tweet that much anymore because Twitter is dead for UK basketball. So if you really want to see what's happening, go to IG. We've got some fun stuff planned. Yeah, man. But yeah, that's us.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining and listening in. That's your playoff preview. If we covered everything, we probably didn't, because we tend to digress a bit. But we tried our hardest. So It's a podcast we are trying to do weekly because it's a guest show. It is pretty difficult. Next year, I'm going to try and have a constant feature where either I'll have to do it by myself or have a partner in crime throughout the season so we can get it more consistent. But for now, bear with us. We are trying our hardest to put as much content out there as we can. And also because Joe is right, X is dead for British basketball. I am trying to get in the Instagram space. I'm really trying. So drop us a follow over there. Like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel and Spotify. And we will hopefully be back with an episode next week. Goodbye all.